Hey people, welcome back to Tyro Media. I'm your host, Donald Wonder. It hasn't been so long ago that I just reviewed that movie called Belle about the black British girl who went into royalty. It was a historical movie and it was based on a lot of true events. Now, after doing the review, I actually spoke to one of my content collaborators and homegirl Nuance, and she told me, hey Don, if you like that movie, there's this really old racial drama about a black lady who gives birth to a white kid. Now, today, that isn't so uncommon, but this movie was set in the 1930s. So when she told me about this movie called Imitation of Life, I thought to myself, damn, that's pretty progressive to have a film about a black woman giving birth to a white baby in 1930. So I gotta check this shit out. Anyway, fast forward, I jump on IMDb to find out more information on it, and then I see there's two movies with this name. So obviously there's the one that she mentioned, from the 1939 one, and then there's a 1960s one remake. Now the funny thing about both these movies, they have really high ratings. And reading the reviews, not a lot of people are saying which one's better, the older one or the newer one. People are saying they're both really good. Curiosity got the better of me. I just finished watching both of them. And yeah, I'm going to review this right now. But before I do that, people, I just want to say, if you liked classics like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, I'll tell you right now, check this shit out. But let's get into the review for the old and the older. Let's start the review for Imitation of Life, the older and the newer, both. Okay, before we start the review, just want to tell you how I'm going to do this, because both movies do have basically the same story, but they are very different in the way they're constructed. Luckily for me, I watched these back to back, and luckily they weren't the same movie, because that would have been jarring, but they were very different. They changed a lot in the remake from the original. So let me do this one at a time, but I will start by saying the basic plot for both movies are, this story focuses on two women, a white woman and a black woman. The black woman, as I mentioned in the beginning, the black woman has given birth to a white child, and the white woman has one white child as well. Now, they both meet early in the movie, where the white woman and her child, well, the white woman's a widower, and she's looking for work. The black lady is a maid, and she's looking for somewhere to stay to raise her child, and they bump into each other. And basically, for both movies, the black lady runs to the white lady, and she tells her that she's looking for a place to stay, and if she takes her as an in-home maid slash caretaker, she'll live for room and board. So both movies start the same way, but from there they kind of diverge. So let me start off by talking about the first one, which is obviously the 1939 original. For the record, I'm going to get into just very mild spoilers, but you don't have to worry. I'm not going to talk about anything major. And honestly, this is more of a character-driven movie for both movies rather than the plot one. So the things I'm going to mention aren't going to ruin the story at all anyway. So starting with the 1939 original version, I was impressed with the story. You know, it's a ballsy story to do back in this time, because let's be honest, there was a lot of segregation in 1939 with black people. Now, again, the plot is interesting with this black woman giving birth to a white child. And I kind of had my own preconceived notions of what I thought this movie was going to be. Some of it, unfortunately, the things I didn't like were there. For example, the black lady was a mammy. You know, a mammy figure, one of those black stereotypical, yes, ma'am, I'll do anything you say, ma'am. You know, you've seen that character in Gone with the Wind and all these movies. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a product of its age, so I can't hold it against the movie. And it was, it was the beginning of film, and that's how black actors are starting off in film. It's history, that's how it is. So, although I didn't like it, at the end of the day, that's just how it is. But even with that, it doesn't taint the acting. Good acting. Very good acting from the black main lead, the maid, whose picture and name I put up on the screen now. But apart from that, the white lady and her child, I mean, the good acting as well, but all of them were good. I don't want to get into spoilers, but as the story progresses, Well, as I was watching the movie, the original version, it was kind of slow, and in the beginning they split the story. The story's kind of even because it sounds like it's going to be more about the black lady and a white kid. But the white lady and her kid, this widower is a big part of the story as well. And one thing I want to compliment the movie on is finding the balance. Now, obviously, the black lady and the white kid might be a more compelling story to get into, but they made the white lady and her kid, they made all of the characters one story. But the way the movie starts off, you see both of their lives, you see how they come together, they live together, and you see the white lady's life, and you see the black lady's life, and things start to escalate and stuff. There's a little bit of sadness, a bit of tragedy, whatever. But again, I don't want to ruin the storyline, but I would say the racial element of the black mom and the white kid is the meat of this movie. That's where you get the most emotional connection from, and I was very impressed with this movie. I have to say, still to this day, I think this is still a fantastic movie. In terms of being progressive as a movie, this was before the times of Sidney Poitier and all of that. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and stuff. So I think this movie is excellent. It was already nominated for Oscar anyway, and I just want to say I thought it was great. And I can already see why this movie was remade 20 or so years later. But I'm just surprised I never heard this movie before. Now, the things I don't like, which I have to bring up more in the remake, because in the remake they do fix a lot, but there's a lot of the black racial stuff, the way this mammy character's acting, again, it's not bad, it's just watching it now, it will leave a bad taste in your mouth because of the stereotype. But on the whole, the movie's good. This movie is very, very good, and I was very satisfied for it. And you want to say gets props for even recommending this to me. And so I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to give you my rating for this movie. It's a high solid B. High solid B, original imitation of life. Watch it. Let's get on to the remake now. Wow. Everything I didn't like about the first movie was corrected in this movie. I mean, aesthetically, it looks better. It's 20 years later. This movie's in color. The original one's in black and white. The acting, is it better? The acting in the original was good. The acting in the remake is good as well. I'm not going to say the acting in the remake is better, because honestly, it's impressive on both ends. These are old movies. When I think about it in terms of acting, the 1930s one deserves high praise if it was acted that well, and it even holds up against its successor. The successor, they changed the plot line for the white lady. There's a whole thing, no spoilers, there's a whole thing in the old movie about the pancake business. They got rid of that. I didn't like that in the original because you were taking something from the black lady and giving it to the white lady. You don't need that to tell the story, and they corrected it in this remake. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. All I'm saying, in the remake, they separate the characters more. It makes the story better. They strengthen the elements, the racial tension between the black mother and the white child. That's even more emotional than it was in the first movie. That mammy shit I didn't like. Oh, Master Sal, man, I'm gonna do it. That shit's gone. The black character in the remake doesn't have that. She doesn't have it at all. She's just a really nice, earnest woman. And I think that they just changed the plot elements to make the story more consistent. They focus more on the story elements for both characters. I know I'm harping on about this like it's mostly about the black woman and her child. It's not really. They split it down the middle. The white lady and her child and her ambition plays a big part of the movie as well. But I like, in the remake, they make it more even. They make these characters much more even, much more well-rounded. The ending is much more emotional. And honestly, this is what you call a remake. In today's society where we're remaking all these pop culture movies, this is how you remake something. You take all the negative elements and you improve upon it. Better sound, better visuals, great acting, great story. So people, that's it. I'm not even going to go into any more detail than that. Imitation of Life, remake, 1959, high first class. It's almost in the Hall of Fame. It's almost in my Hall of Fame. The things with Hall of Fame for me, it just takes a little bit of time to marinate unless I just adore it. And I do think this movie is fantastic, but Racial dramas for me, it needs to settle. But this is absolutely fantastic. And for me, I'll tell you right now, if you only had to watch one movie, one of the Imitations of Life, the original or the remake, watch the remake. Watch both of them. But if you have to watch one, you only want to watch one, the remake is superior in every way. But the 1930s one is a really good movie. And I think if you're a film lover, you should watch both. And as you can see, they sell both in one DVD combo package anyway. So, but again, if you like classic racial dramas like the much beloved Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, this one's up there. This was also nominated for an Oscar as well, so it's obviously just a film that went by my head. Some people that are watching this review probably already seen the movie and think, you just watched that movie now. Hey man, classics, we're always catching up on movies, falling through the cracks. And as we said before, old is gold. Imitation of Life, both movies great. I'll be buying both of these movies in that one DVD or Blu-ray box set. And I'll ask, do I want to see another remake of this? A third remake of this? It can be done. It would obviously be a period piece by this point, 2014. But honestly, you don't have to. You can leave it alone. I know people always think, well, why do you even say that? 2 remakes is enough. And the second one is really good. If you want to do it again, because we're in sequelitis era anyway, go ahead, but take it seriously. But because these black racial dramas are being remade and it's a thing right now, I wouldn't be surprised if this does happen in the next 10 years or something. It's already won Oscars galore, so maybe it's just a matter of time. But anyway, Imitation of Life, 1930s, high solid B, 1959, high first class. End the story. Check it out. I think that's enough of that. Okay, people. Thanks for watching Tyro Media. Like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Like us on Facebook. And I'll see you in the next one, people. Have a nice evening, morning, night, whatever. Peace.